Structuralism. Structuralism is an intellectual movement by the influence of the Swiss linguist Ferdinand de Saussure, who was born in 1857 and who died in the year 1930, that began in France in the 1950s. It was first seen in the works of the anthropologist Claude Lévi-Strauss, who was born in 1908 and who died in the year 2009, and the literary critic Roland Barthes, who was born in 1915 and who died in the year 1980. It designates the practice of analyzing and evaluating a work of art on the explicit model of structuralist linguistics. It is based on the concept that things cannot be fully understood in isolation. They have to be seen in the context of larger structures they are part of. So, structuralism is a method of interpreting and analyzing literature that focuses on contrasting ideas and elements of a structure and attempts to show how they relate to the whole structure. According to Ferdinand de Saussure, who moved away from the then prevalent historical and philological study of language to the study of structures, patterns, and functions of language. Language is not a naming process by which things get associated with a word or name. It is a process where the linguistic sign is made of the union of signifier and signified. The signifier is what we call something. It is the sign's physical form. The sound, image, and the printed word are signifiers. The word tree for tree. The signified is the meaning, idea, and concept expressed by a sign. It is the sign's conceptual aspect. By the word tree, what we mean is signified. Apart from the signifier and signified concept, Saussure, Lang, and Parole concept too influenced the structuralists. Lang, language, referred to the rules behind the way the language is arranged and used. Parole, speech, referred to the actual utterance of a language, both spoken and written. The structuralists began to illustrate with the help of narratology how a story's meaning developed from its overall structure, lang, rather than from each individual story's isolated theme, parole. The structuralists used the semiotic theory of Saussure to in their critical analysis, as all the signs in the sign system of language are cultural constructs. They have taken on their meaning through repeated, learned, and collective use. So they are arbitrary and relational. The paradigmatic chain in hovel, shed, hut, house, mansion, palace shows that the meaning of each is dependent upon its position in the chain. Similarly, binary opposition is also an important concept of structuralism. It is actually the fundamental organizer of human philosophy, culture, and language. According to Zosha, though binary opposition is actually the presence absence dichotomy, it is not a contradictory relation but a structural and a complementary one. It can easily be understood with an example of good and evil. We cannot conceive of good if we don't understand evil. Structuralism was the first school of psychology that tried to understand the basic elements of consciousness using a method known as introspection. Edward B. Tishner talks about the three elementary stages of consciousness, which are actually the three components of structuralism. They are sensations, sights, sounds, and taste, images, components of thoughts, and affections, components of emotions. So, meaning is always an attribute of things. The meanings are attributed to the things by the human mind, not contained within them. When we are confronted with Dunn's good morrow, it can only be understood if we have a clear notion of the genre it belongs to, that is, the Alba or Dawn Song, a poetic form dating from the 12th century, in which the lovers lament the approach of daybreak because it means that they must part. To understand Alba well, we should know the concept of courtly love too. Thus, the structuralist approach makes the reader move away from the interpretation of the individual literary work and have a parallel drive towards understanding the larger abstract structures that contain them. Roland Barthes' mythologies, Jonathan Culler's structuralist poetics, and Robert Scholl's structuralism in literature attracted worldwide attention. However, by the late 1960s, many of the structuralistic concepts attacked by Jacques Derrida, Louis Althusser, and even by Roland Barthes, though the elements of their works were all related to structuralism, they began to consider themselves as post structuralists.